friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. On today's episode of Going In Raw, we're going to talk about last night's NXT with the shocking split of Toxic Attraction. We've also got some news to talk about, including an update on Alexa Bliss's status with WWE. We've got talk about FTR and the Young Bucks. What is the nature of their relationship and how hot is it? But first, let's talk about this. AEW might be set for a huge new TV deal. Larson, what's going on?
Yeah, so during an interview with Uproxx, Tony Khan revealed that he expects AEW to get a massive new TV deal when their current deal expires. This is what he had to say, quote, "I expect big increases in the rights for the AEW programs, and we're at a good pace to make a very lucrative deal for the AEW media rights going forward." Of course, there's been some talk of late about AEW getting themselves or licensing out AEW in a streaming service, some capacity, whether it's their own licensing, who knows. But he talked about the potential of that as well. And while he didn't confirm anything, he did talk about it. So maybe there's news here. He said, we've done 174 episodes of Dynamite, 80 episodes of Rampage. Our 17th pay-per-view event will be March 5th in Revolution. So we've done hundreds and hundreds of hours of AEW content in our library. I also purchased Ring of Honor last year, which is a great promotion with over 20 years of history, thousands of hours of video in their library. So overall, AEW has access to so many great wrestling events, including some events that are widely considered to be some of the best wrestling events of all time. There's a lot of interest in this library as well as a new weekly content we continue to produce each week. I do think there's a lot of demand for the library, and it makes a lot of sense for us to try to make that AEW library available to fans all over the world on demand.
Yeah, it does. I want to be able to not get on Fight International using some sort of VPN in order to access old episodes of Dynamite. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. Time will tell. What's the do we know the window of when the TV rights thing is going down? Wasn't it 2019 that they started?
Too different from WWE. I think it's next year or later this year they're going to be able to start negotiating.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Hopefully the planets align and things settle down a little bit at Warner Brothers Discovery if they're going to be the front runner, because they're kind of a mess over there. But
they're not just kind of a mess.
Big old
certified mess.
A certified disaster over there. So
huge mess.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. What are some of the other conglomerates that could get a TV deal with them? Obviously, Anthem's one of them. Currently, the home Impact.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they'd be the front.
Very possible that that's going to happen. Forbidden Door or something.
Remember Destination America when they had Impact and Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I remember when Impact used to. It was like, wow, Spike. They were getting like $2 million.
Yeah, I know.
They did pretty well. And then it was like, well, they're not going to do it anymore. So like it went down to probably Destination America, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And then it was like a pop TV.
Yeah.
And then
which no one had, apparently.
Well, now even fewer people, because Impact gets like, I think 80,000 live viewers.
Yeah, it's like 100 or 80,000. Yeah, that's a huge drop from what they were. I mean, I know the TV landscape is vastly different than it was in the mid-aughts. Yeah.
Dude, they have to have like at least 1 million $1 subscribers on YouTube, right? Ultimate Insider. Who doesn't want to be an Ultimate Insider?
I mean, I was hesitant at first, but then I made the plunge. It's worth $1. Can't confirm.
Boy, you are a snarky one today, aren't you?
I got like this. I don't know what it is. I got like a little.
Oh no!
You get a little tickle in the throat, and you just.
Well, hey, you know what, man? Just maybe this will perk you up a little bit. You're doing great work.
Oh, thank you.
Does that make you feel better?
Not at all. You know what make me feel better now?
What?
The lozenge.
Oh, I'm sorry, pal. I ain't got one of those, but I do have some information about the Young Bucks and FTR not getting along particularly well. So anyways, Dax Harwood, of course, man, he's the dude's been shooting from the hip on FTR's podcast. At some point, he's got to start making shit up, because the FTR podcast without Cash Wheeler does really well. Like, it's always really top, one of the top podcasts up there in
top guys. Yeah,
the top podcast.
Top guys make top podcasts.
Well, top guy. So anyways, he's been given occasional updates on FTR's in-ring future on his podcast, FTR Without Cash Wheeler. In the latest episode, Dax Harwood offered up another update saying, and these transcripts come to you via Wrestling Inc., The biggest decision of our career is in April. Whatever we do in April, I feel will probably be the last thing we ever do in wrestling, period, at least on a national level in ring for sure. It'll be the last thing we ever do in wrestling. So I've got to take a lot of things into consideration as far as what we're going to do, where we're going to go. And I have an idea with my heart what I want to do. I have an idea with my brain, and I usually say lead with your heart. But sometimes, especially in this business, man, you lead with your heart. You get your heart broken. So he's saying he's probably going to lead with his brain and go with WWE.
Well, so before we get to this next bit, so speculation here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's brain or heart. What is related to each promotion? You got to assume one's WWE and one's AEW.
I mean, the brain.
I guess one could be Impact for all I know. I don't know.
Oh, that's where the heart is, of course. All those ultimate insiders there.
$1 every month.
Given what he's saying in this, what we're about to talk about, I think his heart is probably, let's just not do anything. Let's just go out into the world and jump from promotion to promotion, do whatever we want to do. That's probably his heart. But the idea that that's probably not going to secure his family until, he's, gone.
Yeah.
Which is probably what he's looking to do. The brain clearly is going to be WWE. You look
Sign massive contracts somewhere. Yeah.
Some of the stuff that's come out about, for example, Gallows and Anderson and the deal that Triple H gave them, which I think was like 5 years or 7 years or something ridiculously long.
Yeah.
And they have a deal where apparently if they're not going to be used, they don't go. Like they just don't go to TV. This man, and again, I wish I had the thing. It was either Meltzer or somebody.
I saw that thing. That they have a stipulation in their contract. Yeah.
Right. And so at this point, let's look. Even if I know maybe in his mind they have unfinished business in WWE, but when they were in WWE, it's not like they had a bad experience in total. They were NXT champions, Raw champions, I think SmackDown champions, probably.
Yeah, the first Triple Crown tag champs, yeah.
It's just Vince McMahon rubbed them the wrong way.
Yeah.
And up until now, anyways, and I know April, a lot of stuff can happen between now and April, by the way.
Got that right.
It seems like the brain would say WWE because the way he talks about Tony Khan and what they just went through in AEW, I'm not sure that's something he really wants to go through.
That's why I thought it was probably a good idea to include these quotes about FTR's kind of dealings with Tony Khan and Young Bucks, and it's focused at first on the build up to their match against the Young Bucks at Full Gear 2020, but it continues on from there.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I guess I can take some of these, and you can take some as well because there's a lot. So he also spoke about FTR's dealings, as I just mentioned, with Tony Khan and the Young Bucks. This is what Dax had to say, quote, "I felt like we were a backdrop. I felt that everything that we had been promised when we came in, we were promised that the tag division was going to be built around these two teams, and I felt it wasn't being built around us. I felt we were lied to, and at the time, we were being lied to. I think my relationship with Tony got even more strained. I felt the relationship with the Bucks completely deteriorated. I take the blame for that. I take the blame for it because I shouldn't have taken wrestling so seriously. If Tony decided that he didn't think we were in that league or we shouldn't have been presented in a certain way, it's his company. Same thing with Vince. I have no ill will towards Vince or Tony. Tony is one of my closest buds now, and I love him for what he's done for me and my family. I should have looked back and said, if Tony doesn't look at us in this light, what can I do to prove him wrong? Instead, I had the same thought, but I was going to be combative and fight for it, and I shouldn't have. It's his company. If there were ill feelings between us and the Young Bucks, it was because we took it personally, and we shouldn't have taken it personally. I think they took how we felt personally, and they probably should have because we probably weren't being the best team players at that point. I can speak for me. I wasn't being the best team player because all the shit I had going on in my brain."
So we can pause there for a second. That's pretty interesting, and the idea that because look, man, if you chart sort of where Young Bucks and FTR sort of if their paths in AEW from the second FTR got there, they had what I think 2 matches straight up, and I think a lot of people are asking for that big third one.
Mm-hmm.
And that never happened. And it was, FTR were on a hell of a roll.
Yep.
And it seemed clear that, okay, The Young Bucks need to be next. That third match needs to be next for FTR and for everybody.
Well, especially when FTR had all the other titles and the Young Bucks had the AEW tag title.
It seemed like a natural
winner take all made all the sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And that never materialized. And it seems like he's basically confirming that things got kind of icy between them. And he's not, you have to appreciate that Dax is taking the high road, saying, hey, I didn't do everything I needed to do to salvage this relationship, which is, very big of him. But it does seem to confirm a lot of the speculation that was out there, because they simply didn't execute that obvious, seemingly money-making, third match. They danced around it a little bit. So anyways, he continues. He says, me thinking about the follow-up is when things started to go south for me. There is no follow-up. Why are we being presented this way and treated this way? Getting into my own head, we had a lot of meetings with Tony during this time period, from the time 2021 started to right after I had my anxiety attack, and I started to get on the good side of that. We had a lot of talks with Tony. I remember telling him, Tony, I want you to present us as 1A and 1B with the Young Bucks. He said, you guys are 1A and 1B. I think he did think that. I think he thought that in the world of professional wrestling, the best tag teams in the world, we were 1A and 1B. I didn't feel that we were being presented that way, but I think he did feel that way. I think he felt we were the two greatest tag teams in the world and thought that was good enough. It probably was good enough and should have been good enough, but to me, it wasn't. Going to Tony's office, and instead of trying to find a middle ground to get a better position on the card, I would go in there and say, Tony, you're shitting on us. You're making us look bad. You're not presenting us the way we feel we should be presented. You're putting the Young Bucks here and us here. It was just me being too abrasive, but an end quote. But Larson, doesn't he have a really good point there? Because how long were they the number one contenders for the AEW tag titles? And they were literally off TV. They just weren't doing anything with it.
Yeah. I mean, even preceding that, before they won all the other titles, there was long stretches where they weren't on television.
Right, yeah.
Or on occasion, where Dax would have a singles match or something. So much of FTR's tenure in AEW, they'd have a spell where they'd be featured, they'd have a lot of matches, and of course, they were a great team, so the matches were generally really good. And then for whatever reason, they'd be off TV for a stretch, and they work them back in. They'd have a good run off TV, and it felt like everything came in spurts.
Yeah,
it wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
Even the first half of last year, we're like, FTR shoo-in for Wrestler of the Year, because the first half of 2022 was outstanding.
Oh, it was huge.
If they had kept that pace up, it would have been like an absolutely magical year.
Yeah.
In AEW, seemingly, for long stretches, they disappeared off AEW television for no reason.
While they were number one contenders.
Tag
titles, yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. That first half of 2022 was totally their year. And as soon as that June Ring of Honor pay-per-view went down, I think it was Death Before Dishonor. They completely disappeared off the map. Like they were winning titles everywhere else, but they weren't doing anything in AEW while they were...
after Forbidden Door when they won the IWGP tag.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was after that.
When was Death Before Dishonor? Was that in July?
That was July.
They had a July pay-per-view. Yeah. So that was like they had a killer match with the Briscoes, and then it was nothing.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I understand his frustration, and maybe from his point of view, he didn't approach it in the most diplomatic way possible. I wonder if that's maybe because he felt he might have gotten, if he had approached it in a different manner, would that have gotten them what they wanted? It sounds like the Young Bucks and Tony Khan were kind of anti the idea of them doing that third match. And so I don't know what approach he could have taken. If he's saying here, hey, I wish I had approached it better because personally, it didn't look good for me, or it might have, hurt some relationships needlessly. I get it. But from a professional standpoint, he said it himself. If you put your heart into something, it might get broken. Yeah. From the standpoint of why aren't we making money with the Young Bucks? He seems to be on pretty firm ground with that, if that's what he wanted.
Oh yeah, from a fan's perspective, absolutely. And from a business perspective, you would think as well, if you could, Young Bucks versus FTR for all the tag titles, that could main event a pay-per-view.
Absolutely,
it absolutely could.
We thought it would. We thought it was going to. Yeah,
we thought it absolutely could and would. Yeah. And whether it's Tony Khan not being sure which team would get the win there, or some other sort of politics backstage, we don't know the rationale why that match never happened for sure. But yeah, it always stuck out like a sore thumb when you see how AEW was approaching, especially booking the tag division in 2022, and seemingly the stars aligned where it could have happened, and it could have been a massive deal, But on the flip side of that, if that match had happened, we wouldn't have got probably Swerve and our glorious tag champs, and I'm happy we got that run. And who knows, how the Acclaimed would have been worked into the title situation, because them having the tag titles has been great too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think you could have had your cake and eat it too, though. You know what I mean? Like at that point, at a certain point, FTR versus the Young Bucks. I mean, you could have gone along the same path. And I know that, like, if you look at the timing of it, probably the Brawl Out situation had a little bit, maybe to that might have thrown a wrench in some plans. Although it doesn't seem like that's the case, given what Dax is saying here. The idea that you couldn't have had all that and you do even away from the titles, Young Bucks versus FTR, is still bizarre to me. I mean, you have, and I'm going to throw this out there just because it's an easy analogy. I'm not comparing the box office numbers or anything like that. But I understand if you have tag teams that are 1A and 1B, it's like, okay, if you're McMahon in 1998 or 1999 rather, you got Stone Cold and The Rock. Just generally speaking, if you have two major acts and you don't want to look either of them look a certain way, lose. Mm-hmm. I know that that's a tough situation to be in, but to avoid it altogether is just, I don't know. It seems like a wonky way to do business.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day we'll get a book about the first 2-3 years of AEW, and we'll learn about some of this stuff.
That'd be fascinating. Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know.
This is a good point here too. D. Lara here in YouTube chat says mentions the Jeff Hardy stuff, how that threw a lot of the tag team.
It did because that's what led to the Young Bucks picking up the belts in the first place.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe somebody asked Tony Khan that on one of the podcasts that he goes on. Hey Tony, what were the plans? Did you have any plans for FTR? Given what he said.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems awkward. God, I'd be so awkward if we brought him on the show.
Yeah, I know.
Hey Tony, I know. Let's ask about questions.
Hey Tony, how did you try one of the muffins that Phil brought to Brawl Out? If so, how were they?
Oh, you can't talk about that.
You can't talk about whether the muffin was good or not.
No, we can't talk about anything CM Punk related. You heard him before. Come on, just talk about the muffin. I can't talk about the muffin.
You can comment on the muffin.
I can't talk about the muffin.
Was it moist? Was it dry?
It was a very good muffin from what I saw.
Was it too
sweet? I wasn't
sweet?
hungry. I was too busy trying to keep my company alive. My goodness. Oh, man. Anyways, so yeah, interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah. Also interesting, what's Alexa Bliss going to be doing now that we're on the road to WrestleMania? Of course, she took the L to Bianca Belair at the Royal Rumble, and yesterday PW Insider reported that she was going to be taking some time away from the company, and that it was known in advance of the Rumble by those in the company. Well, later yesterday, Alexa took to Twitter to seemingly dispel that report, tweeting, quote, "Don't believe things you read unless it comes directly from me. It's not real, lol. LOL. Not lol as in a pause."
Yeah. It's not a real lol. Yeah.
I always want to mention that because you can be confused by that easy. You hear lol, think, oh, that's pause in something. Not in this case, lol, laugh out loud.
I love Alexa. I think she's great. That's to, stave off all the angry Alexa Bliss stands in our YouTube comments because they're crazy. And yeah, it's fine. I mean, I hope she goes away and they do something really cool with the Uncle Howdy stuff, and she comes back as like a cool character that we all kind of understand what it is, because they hemmed and hawed with her way too much.
Oh yes.
It does always crack me up though when wrestlers say, "Unless it comes from me directly, it's not the real deal." It's like, well, but then you get to control your own narrative, so to speak. Sometimes when it doesn't come from people directly, that's when you get the real truth, Larson.
Let's watch. She'll be on TV next week,
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. But no, that's cool. Good. I like her. They just need to do something cool with her. Man.
Exactly. When she and creative have a good idea of her character and come up with some decent stories, she's great.
Yeah, no, she does really good work. She rolls with everything they do. Yeah. And the thing about her is that she's like indicated on social media so many times that like when like some random Alexa Bliss fan will say like, oh, I miss when Alexa was doing this, and it was like during a period where she was doing something cool. She'll often respond and be like, yeah, me too. You can tell she just wants to be, used in a creative way.
Exactly.
You gotta appreciate that.
And it feels far too often that it's been so start and stop, hit or miss. There's aspects of her pairing with Bray Wyatt that were interesting, and the stuff that went down at WrestleMania a couple years ago, and Bray eventually got released, and they tried to take elements of what Bray was doing and work it into her character at the time. It never really completely clicked.
Yeah, right.
And then she was gone for a bit, came back. There was the stuff with the therapist, which they were trying to tie that loose end with the Lily stuff and move her on to a different direction. And it seemed like they're going that way, but the direction was kind of directionless.
Yeah.
And then Triple H came back. Well, let's bring in Uncle Howdy, bring the Bray Wyatt stuff back. And that just kind of feels like it's been spinning its wheels for months.
Yeah, it seems like there's much less of a actual plan there than I think we had hoped there would be in the first place. But I don't know. Maybe it'll be some amazing thing at WrestleMania where it'll all make total sense.
It's entirely possible.
Unlikely, but who knows? You never know. Anyways, you want to pay some bills?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. So, Steve.
Yes, Larson.
Question for you.
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Wow.
For the biggest Sunday in all of sports. I know I am.
Oh, yeah.
You know me. I'm an Eagles fan. I got all my Eagles gear ready, and I've been practicing their fight song, Fly, Eagles Fly, in preparation for this weekend. I hope to be singing it when the game is over. You want to hear me sing it now? I've been practicing a lot.
You just got to wait till the game is over is what you got to do, because you don't want to do that right now. No, nobody
practice.
Look, man, nobody wants to hear you sing. But I'm sure everybody wants to hear about how DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, has all the Super Bowl action you need. You see, Larson, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly.
That's right. Plus, all customers can get in on the Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boost. Here's what you got to do. You check out the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern. That's between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific to see what prop bet will be boosted. And speaking of boosted, Steve, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to boost your spirits. You know I'm going to do that? I'm going to sing the fight song of my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. Here I go.
Don't do
fly,
it. Stop.
Eagles, fly.
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
On the road to victory.
So many people tuning out right now. All right, listen. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code RAW. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code RAW. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
It's pretty good, huh?
No. Full stop.
I think it's not good?
No, not at all. No, never. No. You know what is good, though? We've got bonus content over at patreon.com/Stephen Larson. And if you're a channel member, this coming Friday, the decision has been made, Larson. It's been made.
Oh, what is it going to be?
Extreme.
Oh, okay.
Championship Wrestling. So, here's the deal with this. This Friday, we'll be recording this live for YouTube channel members and patrons at $5 and up. It's our second retro review of the year. It's our February retro review. So we wanted to find out what the first episode of ECW TV was, where they actually were using the name Extreme Championship Wrestling, not Eastern Championship Wrestling. It's basically like the first or second episode after Shane Douglas threw down the NWA title and established ECW as his own thing. They removed themselves from the NWA. So it's a fascinating little bit of history that we're going to be looking at. It's not even like they were really rebooting any stories. There are stories that were going on before this, but we're going to take a look at that first one because it's an interesting piece of ECW history.
I mean, even in terms of the philosophy, booking philosophy, moving towards a more extreme approach in terms of how they booked stuff, how they told their stories. That happened even before Shane Douglas threw the NWA title at the garbage can. By like months.
It was a very gradual transition.
It wasn't like a hard reset
right
when that happened. It was a gradual process building up to them becoming ECW.
Like they had already had I think like a hardcore heaven or like a hardcore, like they had already done like a Cactus Jack Sabu match. like a Terry. I think they even did like a Terry Funk Cactus Jack match at that point already.
Well, they had the match where at the end a bunch of people threw their chairs in the ring.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You know, that happened before they officially renamed to Extreme Championship Wrestling.
So the actual episode is, and we'll post up like a link on the channel membership page and on Patreon. But the actual episode is, you get on Peacock, or I guess on WWE Network if you're still out and wherever they do that. September 20th, 1994. On Peacock, it's Season 2, Episode 36. So that's what we're going to be reviewing. So that's your homework. We're going to be doing that on Friday. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll be doing a little bit of research just to sort of, see what was going on at the time. Also want to mention this really quick. We have 411 people watching on YouTube. If you can do me a favor, number one, obviously hit that thumbs up button. If we get to 200 likes, we'll call Paul in. All right. He just knows now. If you get to 200 likes, he's on call around noon 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
So do that. Hit the subscribe button. We'll notify bell. We do have one returning YouTube channel member, and I'm going to get their name right now. I want to say it's like, MB.
Oh, yeah. That was from yesterday.
MB. Oh, did we do that on the show yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, mention it again. MB. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MB. Thank you so much.
Also, if you're watching on the YouTube right now, do me a favor, because we only have like one question on the questions thread, and maybe the notification didn't go out. But we've got a questions thread on YouTube, and it's just on the community tab, and it's the last thing that was there. And if you could just leave a question, if you're a YouTube channel member, your question is guaranteed read on the show. Mm-hmm. Unless there's something messed up about it, we're not going to read it. But it's like a normal person question. Then there you go. But we need some more questions for the end of the show here.
Yeah, more questions, please. All right. Shall we jump into NXT?
Yeah.
Of course, in the title and the thumbnail, Toxic Attraction, no more.
No mas, yeah. The great John Laurinaitis experiment, which was a wild success. Let's face it. These Mandy, Gigi, and JC Jane completely ran with it, embraced it, and did phenomenal work as a faction when they were together. Mm-hmm. Hopefully one day we can see the three of them back together, when they're all wildly successful and we get a great, reunion moment. Yeah.
This breakup segment on Ding Dong Hello, it's cool to see Bailey back in NXT. Was in a lot of ways, beat for beat, a replication of the famous barbershop segment between Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty when the Rockers broke up.
Yeah.
They're seemingly the reconciliation, only to find that one member of the team is super kicked in the face by the other, rather than being thrown through a door like Marty was. Gigi JC tried to throw her through the door. That door was sturdy as all get out.
And that door was very well constructed.
And then JC booted Gigi right in the face.
Eek. Yeah, that was rough too.
To really hammer home the idea, not a team anymore.
Yeah, the recreation of the barbershop sequence was really well done. Like it was, they did the raising of the hands thing. JC steps over, super kick, and then everything, even like kneeling down and doing it was all there. I thought it was a really great shout out to, of course, NXT's head booker man, Shawn Michaels. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I thought that it was a really great moment. I think it's the kind of thing they can replay endlessly. And you know what, man, we'd sort of mentioned this during the pre-show. We've talked about a little bit. Given that WWE doesn't seem to be interested in sort of thematically, organically created tag teams like Toxic Attraction kind of was, splitting them up and having them feud and trying to give them their own sort of Ciampa Gargano type storyline, I think is a really, really smart move, because main roster, tag teams are just sort of thrown together. They're not really, they don't come up together. And so I think this is a great idea. I think they're both tremendously talented. Let them go on a singles run.
Part of me was hoping that if they brought up Toxic Attraction as an established tag team, that maybe that would be the start of a new philosophy in terms of how they book the women's tag division, in terms of let's do less thrown together tag teams and build teams. Mm-hmm. And we see their process of becoming a team, and that'll eventually lead to the title contention. Yeah. And along with that, on the main roster, the people that are there, you bring up Toxic Attraction. You can bring up Kaden Carter and Katana Chains. two teams that have been teams in NXT for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we, in that sense, we see the women's tag division, treated and booked along the same way that the men's tag division is.
Yeah.
Apparently they're not going to do that. In this instance, I think Gigi and JC, they probably saw more opportunity to tell more interesting stories with them feuding at NXT as opposed to them being sent to main roster, and who knows how they would fare as a tag team there.
Yeah.
And the potential is there for some really good stuff.
Yeah,
I hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, dude, I think it is. And I think, there was a lot of wrestling last night, and they're telling stories through the wrestling. And I really appreciate that aspect of it. It did have NXT, I felt, had a bit more of a spring in its step last night, coming off of a pretty successful Vengeance Day. I thought there was some good stuff. I think Shawn Michaels probably understands where they're going to be headed over the next 6 months anyways, because you've got, we're less than 2 months away from WrestleMania, which is stand and deliver. Like that's their thing at WrestleMania weekend. And so you've got stand and deliver. It seems clear that Braun Breaker's probably going to be moving up. I would be shocked if they kept him in NXT and moved up Carmelo instead. Although Carmelo, in my opinion, is much more ready for main roster. But also you want a strong anchor for NXT leading into the post Braun Breaker era. And Carmelo is absolutely that.
Yeah, Carmelo is the type of talent that you could build the entire brand around. And I mean, I don't even know if they actually really tried to do that with Braun. I don't really feel like they did.
I don't know what the deal with Braun. I don't know. It seemed like there was zero effort in making an actual character out of him. Do you think that maybe they just felt the Steiner branding in everything but name was enough?
Maybe, maybe the outlook, the approach with Braun was different than it's going to be maybe going forward. Maybe the idea with Braun is, because he signed February 2021?
2021, yeah.
So, he's about 2 years into his professional wrestling career. So he's probably someone they saw a lot of upside in and thought this guy could be a foundational piece. But at the same time, he still kind of needs to learn how to do the wrestling thing and do it at a high enough level. So he from the day he was on that first episode of rebranded NXT and beat LA Knight, he was still very much a developmental talent. And that's kind of his story. His story is he's still developmental talent. And if after he loses to Melo at Stand Deliver, if the idea is, all right, our philosophy in NXT is going to change a bit. And I feel like we're kind of seeing that already.
Oh, we are. Absolutely. Yeah.
We're on TV. We're going to focus more on the wrestlers who are either established or who we feel like have developed enough that they're ready to be featured regularly on TV.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And if you're not at that level yet, then we got the Florida Loop house shows. You keep training at the PC. You get to the point where we feel like you're ready to perform at that level, then you'll get on TV on a regular basis.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like with what we saw last night. You get a lot. Like Isla Dawn's been around for a very long time. Yeah. She wrestled. Carmelo versus JD. Obviously, those guys are terrific.
And they both wrestled for a number of years already before going to WWE.
Yeah. I mean, even having a guy like Wesley as your North American champion, that's a big deal. He's going to have an open challenge next week, and it seems like there's already 3 people who might be interested in that. You got Drew Gulak now in NXT. You got Charlie Dempsey in NXT, and those are guys just straight up pure awesome wrestlers. There's just a lot of it's more wrestling. There's a bigger infusion of wrestling into the show now.
Yeah. And then if Carmelo is a champ coming out of Stand Deliver, that's really saying, all right, this is the direction we're going with NXT now. We're going to focus on wrestling.
Especially if they're going to bring guys like Dragon Lee in, and you already have a guy like, Axiom, A-Kid, Nathan Frazier's going to be back soon, probably.
Ilya
oh my God, that's right. Ilya came back last night. Yeah. And so you're going to have an amazing group of wrestlers in pretty much every division in NXT. And that's really exciting. That's what the big attraction was back in the day. And it seems to be that's what we're getting back around to. There's going to be some really, really good matches in the future.
Yeah. And then, you could still have opportunities for developmental talents beyond the show.
How they did it back in the day. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing that now with Saul Ruka.
Oh my!
She has not been wrestling very long, and obviously she has taken to it very quickly.
Holy crap, she has.
And she's involved. She'll win some here, she'll lose some there, but eventually, once they feel like her progression is at the point where it's like, okay, this is when the push is coming, because it's coming. Mm-hmm. They're just waiting for the right moment.
Mm-hmm.
That she's going to get a massive push.
Yeah. Man,
so whether they're waiting for something from the character perspective to click or what, it's coming.
You know how they love, I love, it's like, yeah, she's going to take a loss to Zoe Stark, which, by the way, that was a good match. That was a really good match.
It was a good match.
Zoe Stark is really good.
Yeah, she is.
But it's like, yeah, and then Zoe Stark does the beatdown at the end. But we all know what people came here to see, Sol Ruka's finish. Because that thing is cool as shit.
It is.
I'm still like, I look at him like, okay, wait, what happened? She does what now? Oh,
backflip into the cutter is crazy.
Yeah, it's so awesome. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it. I'm sure we'll pick up a lot of pieces because there was a lot to appreciate about NXT last night.
There was.
So it starts off with a... I'll go ahead and start off. Carmelo and Trick come out. Trick says, reporting to live, the greatest duo alive, Trick Melo gang has finally arrived. Coming to you like only we can. Vengeance Day will go down as the day that Carmelo turned Apollo, the vision seer, into Stevie Wonder. He says, make some noise for Carmelo. So Carmelo comes out. You can go ahead. I'll be your hype guy. You can be Carmelo.
All right, sounds good. He said, I did it. I spoke it into existence. I was on the logo when I shot my shot, and it was nothing but net. I said I was going to get 2 straight. And what did I do, Trick?
Oh, shit. Where am I?
So Trick says, clean sweep.
Clean sweep, baby.
And it says, let's talk about it. Apollo had the right vision, but with the wrong one. The NXT universe knows that I'm everything that I say I am. They know that I am the one. They know I am him. History doesn't lie. I did everything I said I was going to do. I beat everyone I said I was going to beat. But there is one more man that needs to get put on a T-shirt, and there's only one event that can hold the both of us. This is my destiny. That man that I'm talking about is... He's interrupted by...
He means Braun Breaker, but he's interrupted
Braun
by
Breaker. He means
JD.
and deliver for that NXT title, yes.
He's interrupted by JD McDon't Google my name, and he says, Melo, I'm sitting back here and it sounded like you were about to challenge for the NXT title. I get it. Like most of the people here, you come from an entitled generation. What generation does JD McDonough come from?
I think he's probably about the same age as Carmelo.
I think he's probably around the same age. Anyways, JD says, he says, you want everyone to think you're the coolest member of the roster. Well, you are the coolest member of the roster, but in the ring, you're not fit to hold my jockstrap. You love calling yourself the A-champ. Well, you're not ready for the A title, and you're not ready to carry this brand.
So then Carmelo says, look who it is, the UK bar setter trying to come off the bench and ball with me. I thought I beat everyone there was to beat, but I guess there was a survivor. Listen, you're just jealous of the Flash.
Yeah. So JD says, you're counting T-shirts, counting entrances, right? I'm counting body parts. You're all about the VIP room. I send people to the emergency room. So get your buddy to dial ahead 911 and tell them you're coming.
And then Carmelo responds, we can go back and forth all night, or tonight we can see if you're really about it and run game in this ring.
Yeah. And then JD gets in Melo's face and says, game on. Yeah, so that happens a little bit later, but first,
it does.
We got Kiana James and Fallon Henley backstage, the new women's tag champions. And Kiana's like, hey, champ. And Fallon's like, hey, I watched the tape back and you cheated. So confirmed she wasn't working on bar promotion, which she should be, or finding new crowd noise for the bar.
Or finding patrons for her bar.
Right. In fact, she was watching back tape and it's like, hey, you cheated. Kiana's like, well, you didn't see it and the ref didn't see it, so just shh. And then she's like, what are we going to do? Give the titles back? And Fallon's like, no, but we're going to give them a rematch. And Fallon asks Kiana, says, are you going to tell, she's like, are you going to tell Brooks who you're on the phone with, or will I? That is crossing a line right there. That is snitch behavior, Larson. I'm not about it. Anyways, Kiana says, she says, how many times I got to tell you? It was nobody. And Fallon says, fine, I'm going to go talk to Brooks about it now. And then she opens the door, and there's a big surprise party for them for having win the tag titles.
Mm-hmm.
Briggs apparently set this one up because he don't do nothing else.
Yeah, I know. I know. We get a quick recap of Grayson Waller interrupting Shawn Michaels' media call after Vengeance Day, and then we got, Steve, do you want to say?
Sol Ruka.
Thank you, versus Zoe Stark, as you mentioned. Really fun bout.
Hey, look at my cat back there.
Just not disturbed at all by Sol Ruka, huh?
I think that put her to sleep even more.
Oh, there you go.
Sol Ruka.
So, unfortunately, Saul Ruka did not get the win here. She's looking for a springboard splash. Zoe gets her knees up, and then Stark hits her finish to get the win after the bell. Zoe attacks Saul Ruka, puts her on the second rope, and that's where Saul hits her finish and then slides out of the ring.
Hey, so we never really talked, I don't think, on the show about the media call Grayson Waller thing. So he goes in there and he's like, "Hey, what do I got to do to be the guy? Huh? Yeah, what do I got to do?" And he's, talking shit. What should HBK's response be to that, Larson? It's a very simple thing.
I mean, you should give him. Should have 2 words for him.
Well, I was gonna say one word is just win. You just you want to be the guy around. You just win.
But also, you can start crotch chopping at him.
Well, remember, I think because he's born again, he does the crotch chop up here.
Yeah, I know.
It's really a lame version of it. You can do it out here, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's when
Xbox sort of did it on his thighs. Yeah.
Yeah, because he did it like that. But Shawn Michaels could do it like that, but a little higher up if that's a concern for him.
He does the thing he does the thing that's in that GIF when he was walking down the ramp in '97.
Oh gosh.
Probably be slightly inappropriate on a media call. Anyways, back to the surprise party. Kiana says she can't believe Brooks had done this for him, and Brooks is like, "I wanted to make it special because you're very special to me." And Fallon says, "Oh, so awkward." She's like, "Yeah, Kiana, isn't there something you want to tell Brooks?" And Kiana's like, "I did say it. I thanked them for this." And then Pretty Deadly show up, and they look a mess. They look like bum-ass Pretty Deadly.
Like Neville after he lost the Cruiserweight title.
So, yeah, exactly. So the party goers are like, "It looks like you haven't slept." And Briggs steps up, is like, "Man, you want a drink?" And then Pretty Deadly, because all he does is yell. Pretty Deadly says, "All we want is a tag title shot, but you wouldn't know anything about that." They argue a little bit with Chase U. They blame them for costing them the tag titles. Chase says, "Listen up, asshole." He says, "You guys cost us the tag titles. There was every team for themselves." He says, "I'm pissed off tonight, so you're going to get the shit kicked out of you." It was pretty funny stuff.
It was pretty great. Then we got a quick bout here between
Oh, dude, hold on. Wait, back up. I'm sorry. Enforcer has such a good point here. Wow. Why was this surprise party not at the bar? How was that not a thing? She has a failing bar that never has anybody in it. You're throwing a surprise party.
Do it there. I know. That makes all the sense.
Man.
So, Dabba-Kato versus Dante Chen. Quick match. Dabba-Kato dominates, hits the sit-down choke bomb to get the win. He's got an interview afterwards. Asked, "Why did you attack Apollo Crews?" And he says, "Apollo knows what he did. That's why he came back and dropped his ass."
Back pay. He was the commander in Apollo's army.
Yeah.
No back pay. He's like, "Well, I didn't. It's not a real, it's not a real army. I just showed up. I just approached you in the locker room. Was like, hey, can you put on this green jacket? We'll call you a cool name like Commander." He's like, "Oh, I'm enlisted."
Yeah.
Sure, I guess you're enlisted. Hey, man, Admiral, where's my paycheck? You talk to HR about that.
Yeah.
WWE pays you.
Yeah. There's people you talk to about that, not me.
Where I have to go up the chain of command. Okay, I don't know what that means. After that Diamond Miner in the trainer's room. And they're still talking about Indus-Share. They're not at the party. So Julius is apologizing to Ivy because of the whole spot with the Indus-Share match. And Bruce is like, "Yeah, we got to get back at Indus-Share." And it's like, no, move on, guys. Move on.
Yeah, just move on. It seemed like Indus-Share has moved on, as we find out later.
They have your number, clearly. You're I don't know who's a bigger mess, Diamond Mine or friggin' Pretty Deadly?
Diamond Mine.
I think so. I
feel like there's one thing that'll help Pretty Deadly is get a tag title shot. Then they'll be cool.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Diamond Mine, they got a lot of issues to work out.
They do. So Isla, Dawn, and Alba Fire walk in. And they ask Tatum, "Why were you lurking in the parking lot a couple of weeks ago?" They're accusing her of attacking Nikita Lyons. And Tatum is like, "No, she was already down by the time I walked out to the parking lot." Isla's like, "Oh, an innocent person just would have said no." And then her and Alba just leave on that mic drop moment.
Yeah.
And then Brutus tells Tatum, "Hey, if you did it, just say so." She's like, "What? I didn't. I'm saying no right now." Mm-hmm. And Ivy's like, "Well, you know what? I believe you." And then she like winks at the other diamond. They're like, "I believe you."
Yeah.
She didn't actually do that. I just think it'd be funny if she did.
Be sure I believe you.
I believe you. No, I don't like Cronus either.
Then we got a Roxanne Perez interview. She's asked how she feels after her first title defense. She says she feels relief. Put a lot of pressure on myself to win. We were on the road, had a premium live event. I couldn't let Toxic Attraction reclaim the title, so I'm just excited for what's next. And that's when Caden Carter, Katana Chance step in, and they're in a really bad mood.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And so Caden says, well, it must be nice to walk into and out of Charlotte with a championship. And Chance just says, yeah, we got screwed. And Perez like, yeah, I saw that, but you'll get them back. You're too good not to. Being very encouraging.
Yeah, of course.
And then Caden says, are we? Do you even know if we're going to get a rematch? Will the champ make that happen?
What?
I know. Here's the next bit. And Katana says, we got cheated and no one seems to be talking about it. 3 segments ago.
Yeah.
It was just like the whole point of Keanu and Fallon's relationship. They are talking about it.
It is very much talked about. And they even said they're going to get you a rematch.
I know. And she says, being in a tag team takes commitment, but you wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Roxanne? And Roxanne's like, I used to be a tag champ.
Yeah.
And Caden says, and how'd that work out for you? And then Perez says, well, I'm going to go make a phone call and show you that I do have friends.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, my tag partner turned on me.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to happen? She should just start like fucking with him. Like, yeah, no. Well, weren't you saying earlier, Caden, that you were kind of tired of being in a tag team? And then
I know.
Katana's like, what did you say?
Weren't you just telling me the other day that all the pressure of being a tag team for so long, and finally winning the championships was really getting to you? And
weren't you saying that the only reason you weren't on Main is because they don't do tag teams on Main, and you're never going to get anywhere?
Oof. Oof.
I'd love that if Roxanne just very subtly was just, fucking with people's minds.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, Maggie says that's because she's like 20. If she was 30, she totally would have fucked with him. Yeah. After that, we had Isla Dawn versus Tatum Paxley. Isla Dawn gets this win here with her finish. Alba gets in the ring. Her and Isla surround Paxley. They're about to probably do some evil spells on her or something, or light her on fire. And then Ivy Nile runs in to make the save. Well, Alba fires, and she's an arsonist. So.
As far as I know, she's never lit anybody on fire, though.
I feel like she threatens to do that with the bat, though. Like, why else would you have a bat that's a striking object and she lights it on fire?
No, I get that, but it hasn't happened. That's my point.
First time for everything.
Yet. Then we got a JD. Don't Google my name. Sorry. Versus Melo video package, and that match was next.
Oh man, this was good.
It was really good.
This was
really good. And down towards the finish. So Melo's looking to go up to the top because it's finish. JD grabs his ankle, so he can't, and then JD hits Melo with a headbutt. Ilya Dragunov makes his return. He lays out Trick with a torpedo on the ramp. JD's looking for Devil inside. Melo reverses that into a roll-up to get the win. So Ilya gets in the ring and steps up to Melo. Melo's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're crazy.
So Ilya makes a move. Melo ducks, and Ilya essentially leaps over Melo to lay out JD.
It seemed like Ilya was aiming at JD. Yeah. And Melo was like, he just sort of sidestepped to clear the way.
And so Ilya's looking for a torpedo on JD, but JD rolls out of the ring.
Yeah. Great to see Ilya back, man.
Oh, heck yeah.
All those Visa issues. Afterwards, Tiffany Stratton's doing her makeup, and Thea Hale walks up to her, and she's like, I've got a question for you. Why don't you Chase U? The people are pretty nice. The classes are easy. And Tiffany's like, because it's tacky, cringy, and annoying. She should have called it a scam, because that'd be hilarious. She says, nobody likes Chase U, and nobody wants to go there ever. And Thea's like, listen. She says, all you care about is yourself, and all I care about is Chase U. We open our arms to anyone, and if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you. And Stratton says, what, Chase U? She says, no, suck it. And then Tiffany turns around to do her makeup again, and then you see Ava Rain come in real quick and grab Thea. She kidnaps her, and Thea's like, what? Or Tiffany turns around and is like, what just happened?
Yep. After that, we are back to the party. And then Fallon walks up to Briggs and Jensen and says, you guys really didn't have to do this. And she tells Brooks, hey, there's something I need to tell you. And Jensen goes, oh, there's something I need to tell you too. And they were both like, oh, you go first. So eventually Jensen says, I wanted to tell you that myself and Kiana got a date on Valentine's Day. It's the first Valentine's Day date I've ever had.
Yeah.
And then he says, wow, I got that happen. You became a champ. I found the love of my life. Isn't it great? And that's when Kiana steps in. And Brooks asks Fallon, what do you have to say? And Fallon just goes, thanks again for the party.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just zip it, man. It ain't none of your business.
I know.
After that, we had Valentina Feroz versus Lyra Valkyria. Alexa Lopez is still trying to push her brass knuckles on Feroz. So she shows up, and Wendy Chu, of course, was hanging out with Feroz also. They're all pals. But Lopez is trying to get her to keep her eye on the prize, so she's bringing some brass knucks. So she does it, and she gives it to Feroz. Feroz puts it on. She's like, I don't really know if I want to do this. That ends up being too much of a distraction. Lyra hits an insecurity and a spin kick to get the win here, and Lopez is like, I'm trying to do what I can do. I got these great brass knuckles here. I think it's a good business endeavor. It's not into it.
No one wants to use them. Then we got a really cool Wesley Vengeance Day vlog.
Man, this was great.
Yeah, it was his journey to Charlotte.
Literally like a crying wife. She's so proud of him. She's crying. I don't think Lacey's ever cried over how proud she is of me. It'd be kind of ridiculous. I'm just a wrestling podcaster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pretty good deal. You think
I feel like we got a pretty good deal.
I mean, that's enough for my spouse to cry over how proud she is of me.
Well, I'm not going to judge that. No, that's up to her what she thinks is worth crying.
Lacey's she's pretty cold. She'll cry at movies and stuff though. Although now she's obsessed with Red Dead 2. She's been playing that a lot lately. She sold her horse and didn't cry about that. She needed $150. So she sold her horse, her, ride or die, literally.
Yeah, literally.
And she sold it, but then named her. She went and stole another one and named it because that horse's name was Bessie. And then she named her second horse Not Bessie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, so we have a TikTok now. It's called Friendo Club, and I put up this great WCW year 2000 video yesterday. But also, she works at a place called Arden Jewelers, and they have their own TikTok. And she was like, hey, can you let your people know that Arden Jewelers, because I think they're going to start live streaming or something.
Oh, that's cool.
So like on TikTok, if you guys want, go follow us, Friendo Club, but also Arden Jewelers. And Valentine's Day is coming up. So if you guys need a gift or something, you either go to lacedgems.com, that's Lacey's thing, or go to Arden Jewelers if you're in the Northern California area. If you're not in the Northern California area, then go to lacedgems.com. She has all sorts of great, jewelry things if you got a significant other, or if you just want to get something for yourself.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. And after that, pretty good Wesley video package. Maggie has a link there in chat.
Oh, thanks,
we got a Wesley interview. He's asked, how was your weekend at Vengeance Day? Wesley says this weekend was dope. But you see what happened to Dijak's finger.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tony, D, and Stack step in. Tony says, Wes, you reap the benefits of our actions. We expect to be duly compensated for our help. And Lee was like, I never asked you for help, but if you want to be duly compensated, I got an open challenge next week, and maybe one of you will answer. So then Stacks, they seem open to that. Stacks' music plays. He has to leave for his match. And Tony says, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. After that, we had a Tyler Bates promo. He says, Waller lost at Vengeance Day. We all need to learn to take losing on the chin, something that Waller couldn't do, and he disrespected HBK on top of that. He says, myself and many others wouldn't be there if not for HBK. Right now, Waller is suspended for this week, but he challenges to a match next week. Larson, I feel like they're getting Tyler Bate all wrong, man. I really do. He comes off as generic dude. We know what a great wrestler he is. But I'll be honest, ever since he started doing the Zen thing, I have not cared one bit about
But here's the thing, Steve. He's not doing the Zen thing now.
I know, but no, I'm saying that was the starting point of me not caring. And now he's just generic dude. Man, I watched back that awesome Progress British Strong Style promo of theirs.
Yeah.
When they look more like Peaky Blinders dudes.
Yeah.
They were so cool.
I mean, they were.
And he was like their X Factor guy. He was like their
wild card,
their wild card. And I wish they would do like, what? Come on, let's just you don't need Rich. I'll just get Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, and then bring Trent Seven back. and do British Strong style.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, dude. But at the same time, this is just what they're trying to work on, figure out what his character is now.
I know, but I don't. It needs to be something better than just dude who wears. I don't even care what he wears. He's just, boring. I don't know.
I kind of like the Zen Tyler Bate.
I can't stand that stuff
because it was something different.
Well, different's not always good.
I know, but he was trying something different, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, I'm not huge into it. Doesn't work for me.
All right. I thought it was pretty cool when he was doing his training. He had his nunchucks, and he was doing that kind of stuff. That was pretty cool.
Okay, I can get on board with that. Let's always see nunchucks then. Okay. Nunchucks are just always cool. If he does that all the time, then I'm cool with that.
I know. I kind of liked it. After that, we had Odyssey Jones versus, at least in this promo, he wasn't mumbling.
That is true. He was very articulate.
We got Odyssey Jones versus Stax. Stax gets the win here. Hits Odyssey with a DDT diving form, and then like a stomp, but using his shin instead of his foot.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah.
It was, somewhere between a stomp and a famouser. So a huge win for Stax. And hopefully sometime soon we'll see Odyssey Jones get back on the winning track, because I think Odyssey's pretty great.
Yeah, I think he's cool too. Anansi here in chat said, Steve, would you like the Zen thing if it gave him powers? Yes. Yeah. Like if he could do like a little sparkly, like electric shit out of his fingers, or levitate. That'd be cool. Neat. Yeah. See, I'd get on board there. Otherwise, he's just a dude in the park.
That's a character.
Yeah. I mean, can be, I guess. Dude in park. After that, we had a Jinder and Indus Share video package. After beating the Creeds, they're looking forward to other goals, even though the Creeds seem to not want to be done with them.
Yeah.
They're like, phase 1 is complete, and phase 2 begins and ends when we're all draped in gold. What gold is Jinder going to have? He never did get that NXT title. Remember, he was like one of the first challengers for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see that happening. Maybe North American title. No, I don't see that happening either.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get the tag belts and they'll freebird him.
Freebird him. There you go.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Then we got Andre Chase, Duke walking backstage towards the ring in advance of their match against Pretty Deadly, and Duke's asking, "Hey, where's Thea at?" And Chase is like, "I don't know. Last I knew, she was going to go talk to Tiffany Stratton."
Yeah, they're worried. Then we had a Roxanne Perez interview. Asked if she had found a tag partner. Says, I just got off the phone with her. Next week it's going to be Carter and Chance against her. And Mako Satomura is coming back, baby. I kind of feel like, unless Mako's going to do something weird, like turn on Roxanne Perez, Chance and Carter do not stand a chance.
You wouldn't think so?
No, because Mako is awesome and Roxanne's awesome, but Mako mainly is just freaking awesome. Yeah, they should wreck him. Unless, what if Mako turns bad? What would you prefer, man? Mako turning bad? That'd be kind of dope.
That would be cool, but I would assume that would be done to have her challenge Roxanne for the title and lose.
Yeah. Maybe she could be like a big boss, like at the end, like she's like, hey, Roxanne.
If they want to build up Mako, she builds up Mako for Roxanne to be Roxanne's opponent, like, I don't know, 8 months from now, sure.
Yeah. What if you do this? She does stand and deliver. Roxanne barely survives Mako Satomura, and then Mako goes to main roster and then wins and then beats Roman.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Night 2 takes Cody's place.
Yeah, that's after on night 1, LA Knight gets the WWE title off Roman, though.
Okay, how about this? However you set it up, night 2, main event: Uncle Howdy, LA Knight, Mako Satomura, fatal triple threat.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Making sure
nobody loses when that happens.
Well, somebody's got to lose. Who eats the pin in that match?
Uncle Howdy. We got Chase U versus Pretty Deadly. So down towards finish here. So Duke hits a clothesline on Kit Wilson, sends him out of the ring. Then Elton Prince dumps Duke to the floor. Chase hits Prince with a leg sweep, follows with the Chase U stomps, and then Thea runs down to ringside. She is freaking out.
And she's covered in stickers from the schisms.
Schism, yeah, because she was taken out of the locker room by Ava Raine earlier. So Duke gets off the apron to like check on her and stuff. And so Chase is looking on, kind of. Wilson tags in. Chase tries to roll him up, get a 2. Elton Prince tags back in. Pretty Deadly hits Spilled Milk to get to the win. And while Pretty Deadly is kind of celebrating their win, Gallus is taunting them from that platform that's over by the
Bastion green light as well. Yeah.
Hey,
whoa. After that, hey, Drew Gulak, have you seen the sketches for my new ring gear? I made them when I was high. And Gulak is like, yeah, I've seen them. They're pretty awesome. Walker's like, yeah, man, that fires me up. I could take on West next week in his open challenge. And then Charlie Dempsey comes in. He says, it doesn't matter what you wear. It matters what you do. And he says, are you ready for a match with Wes? And Gulak says, I'm sure he's ready for a rematch with you. And Dempsey says, just make sure he doesn't take shortcuts. Like you, Drew Gulak.
Oof.
Burn.
Oof. And then we got Ding Dong. Hello. With Toxic Attraction. So Bailey opens the segment, of course. She says, and she's in a sling. And she says, you're probably wondering why I'm here after cage match with Becky. That's because I love NXT and I love Toxic Attraction. I saw what happened at Vengeance Day and saw that the NXT Women's title slipped through their fingers. So we're going to talk about that. Come on out, Toxic Attraction.
Yeah.
And the first half of the segment is just Gigi and JC talking trash at each other.
Yeah, they're on separate plush chairs, and they're just talking crap to each other. Even during their entrance, they do their typical like little dance thing.
Yeah,
but then like
stage,
they're not near each other. They're like side eyeing each other. Vic is pointing it out.
Yeah, I mean, when they're about to get in the ring, JC tells Gigi, hold on, I'm getting in first.
Yeah. So they're all just talking shit. So Bailey says, okay, this is getting a little uncomfortable. She says, have you guys thought about what you would do if you broke up? And they're both like, yeah, we'd go right to the top. And Bailey says, okay, well, that's a little vague. She says, wouldn't it be easier and better with a ride or die by your side? And Gigi's like, yeah, that's a good point. Toxic Attraction's been my life for 3 years. I've alienated myself from the locker room. Everybody hates me. And JC says, Bailey knows that there's strength in numbers. Look at Damage Control. And Gigi says, at the end of the day, I need somebody who has my back. And JC says, when I get pissed, sometimes I cut deep. And I can't sit here and say that I'll change because we know it's not going to happen. But no matter what, Gigi, you're always going to be my sister. The way I see it, we can either go our separate ways and see what happens, or we can have one more run. And Gigi says, yeah, one more run of the women's tag titles. And they both look at Bailey and they're like, or a run at Damage Control and their tag titles. And Bailey's like, okay, hold on. We're focusing on the now and you seem like you're feeling better. So hug it out. And so they do. They hug. JC raises Gigi's arm, steps off a little bit. Hits her with a super kick. And then, does the total Shawn Michaels thing. Throws her into the door. There's no window there. Throws her into the door. Door barely budges. And then boots her right in the face. If you look at Gigi Dolan's Instagram, that left a mark.
Yeah.
A big old boot mark right on her face. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it was pretty stiff. That was pretty stiff.
Yeah, that was good stuff, though. I thought it was a solid segment there.
It was good. I imagine they'll have their first bout at Stand and Deliver, I would imagine.
Yeah, you would think so. That would make all the sense in the world. It should be a pretty cool build, though. They seem to have some momentum going into coming out of Vengeance Day, rather. Yeah. Let's see here. We are currently sitting on 176 likes. If we get 24 more likes, we'll call Paul in to preview tonight's AEW.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. First up on the question thread, I've got, thankfully, a bunch of the YouTubers put in some questions here on the questions thread.
Good,
I know you got one on Patreon as well.
I do.
We'll start with Odd Breakfast. He says, hey, friendos, I don't think I've mentioned this yet. I'm a new member, but I'm watching you guys since around 2015. Well, thank you, Odd Breakfast.
Thank you so much.
He says, I was wondering if you think the Toxic Attraction split was the better option considering how depleted the women's tag division is. I know I spoke on this. Larson, where do you stand on that? Because I don't know if
I think I spoke on it too. I think if the possibility is there to make huge stars out of Gigi and JC, then you give it a try. You go for it.
Yeah, I like it too.
I guess it's probably better to give them that opportunity to establish themselves as stars individually, as opposed to taking a chance on how they're fortunate to be on main roster as a tag team when it's not really women's tag division is not booked as a priority.
Yeah. Yeah.
So see how things work out in NXT, and you can always put it back together and call them up to main at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. F-Pop says, will Twitch subscribers get to watch the Retro Review live this Friday? Yes, but it will not be on demand on Twitch. So if you miss it live on Twitch, the only way to watch it after that, because it's not going to go on the channel for probably another couple weeks, is to be a YouTube channel member or patron, $5 and up. They get to see it in perpetuity.
Correct.
Nick asks, what has been your top 5 storylines over the last 5 years from all promotions?
Top 5. What's the window? 5 years?
5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Bloodline.
Hangman Page.
Yeah, Hangman and Kenny.
Yeah.
I guess Gargano Ciampa was within the last 5 years, right?
2017?
Or that predated?
I think it sort of overlapped into it.
All right, well, we'll count it.
Okay, we'll count it.
Of course, Scott D'Amore versus Honor No More.
Oh yeah, that's definitely in there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Bailey and Sasha, their story through the summer of 2020 was awesome.
Good one. That's a really good one. Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, you know what? I know it was a Vince thing, but like they actually did a pretty decent job over a long period of time with the Bianca Becky stuff. I really liked that. I thought it really helped establish Bianca.
Yeah, there was some good stuff there. Let's see here.
Deep Voice Dude says, who would you like to see Dragon Lee feud with first, and how quickly will he become NXT champion? It all depends on how the crowd responds to him. It all depends on how he fits into stories. Who he's going to feud with first.
I mean, I imagine if they do a best of 7 with him and A-Kid.
That'd be cool.
Pretty great.
I was going to say, I think Apollo Crews. I think it'd be a good one for Dragon Lee. Because Apollo's in a decent position in NXT.
Steve Klain has a Cody question. Do you feel that Cody's storylines always seem like it's going to take an interesting turn somewhere, but always ends up as expected, which kind of falls flat most times? How could his time in AEW have been more interesting?
Oh.
I mean, he made it. I don't know if it was. I imagine it was his call.
Yeah, I know what you're going to
saying that he was going to take himself out of title contention was a massive mistake.
I think it was too. Yeah, and I think that he was in a weird spot there because it was obvious that he was in control of his own booking, but like he wasn't really involved in any of the other like singles men's division stuff except what he was doing with the TNT title. Like I thought the Dark Order, the Brody Lee stuff was really good. It was pretty brief. He just got his ass whooped and then left and came back and won it back. But the Brody Lee stuff was really good.
Yeah.
That one promo was amazing of Brody.
Oh, so good. Mayor Planet Houston has an interesting question here. You two are at an event for 2K games, get to interview wrestlers. You look around and see Sid.
Yeah.
Cover star of 2K24.
Wow.
What do you do? Do you interview him? What would you ask him? Yes, I would interview him.
What would you ask him? What would you ask him?
What wouldn't I ask him? Life advice?
Really?
Yeah.
You're like 40 some odd years old. At this point, I don't think you need life advice.
Dude, I have no idea what I'm doing on a daily basis. You know this.
But from Sid.
I'm not saying I'd take his advice, but I'd be willing to hear it.
What's a wrestling question you'd ask him? Don't ask him if he put his pants.
This is what I'd ask him. This is what I'd ask him. I'd say, I have a theory that Hulk Hogan was always a heel. Based on your interaction with him in the 92 Rumble, would you think that's accurate?
What a great question. What do you think he would say?
Oh, I don't know. He'd probably start talking about the Montreal Screwjob or something.
After seeing his shoot interviews, he'd probably say, well, Hulk Hogan, he loved his vitamins and he said his prayers. And he liked to drink milk, too. He was a big guy, drew a lot of money.
Yeah. Yep.
His shoot interviews are always like the most obvious, Captain Obvious answers.
I know.
Lehue says, has there ever been a time where you guys had a hard time buying into a beloved wrestler who was being pushed to the top of the card? He says, for me, for the Cody Sammy situation, Cody never really stood out to me at all, but I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't buy this main event push. I don't think you're alone in that. I think there are other people who are not into it. So a beloved wrestler who is being pushed to the top, but you're like, not into it.
Oh, CM Punk and AEW.
Wow. Okay. No. Yeah. That's a good one.
At least at the speed with which they did it.
Yeah. At what point for you? Because I mean, obviously, I was always a bigger CM Punk guy than you were. You always appreciated him.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah, I have no problem with Phil.
At what point in his run were you like, was it when he came out for the Hangman stuff? Because you realized that the writing was on the wall?
Probably. Probably. Yeah, once he got in the feud with Paige, you knew what was going to happen. And I was like, I feel like Hangman, if he doesn't win this, his run is not going to feel that satisfying. If he loses to Punk here, and I don't want that to happen.
Their initial promo seemed so awkward that I was like not into that either. Yeah. I'm gonna say so Mr. Dope here is listing like all the AEW champions, but one of them actually does stand out, and it's Mox to me. The first Mox run.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just not into his stuff. All of his promos seem very similar, and it's always the same thing with this.
Yeah.
But then when he came back from rehab,
yeah,
I was like, oh man, he sort of feels, I don't know, there's something that felt a bit fresh about him.
It did. Definitely did.
Why was there no Von Wagner this week? We had there was a great cliffhanger.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're letting that story kind of marinate for a little bit, Steve.
Can we make
Anticipation.
Can we do a Von Wagner segment this week?
Would you like to do that?
Yeah.
All right. You want to role play? That's what you're saying.
We'll do the thing that we did before where I'll start and then you pick it up and then I'll go and we'll go back and forth. Okay. So it's the deleted scene from NXT this week, Von Wagner segment.
There we go. Kind of like Mad Lib form. Got it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'll start. Von Wagner sits on the toilet, sweat pouring down. He's got a copy of Muscle and Fitness magazine. Oh, look at that stretch back there. That is such a stretch. He's got a Muscle and Fitness magazine, but he can't focus on it because he's so constipated. Go.
Yeah. Finally, after a great strain, he hears the sound he's been wanting to hear.
Yeah.
And while it's not much, he knows that's the best he's gonna get today.
Oh wow!
And he looks over and realizes there's no toilet paper. Steve, go ahead.
Okay. So Robert Stone is in the living room watching Days of Our Lives, and he hears Stone. Reluctantly, he gets up. He walks over to the bathroom.
He knocks on the door. He says, Vaughn, heavy sigh. What's going on? I'm trying to watch my stories. And Vaughn says, there's no toilet paper in here. There's only a magazine. And then then Mr. Stone says, I don't know where the toilet paper is at. You got to get creative. Go ahead, Steve.
Enter Christmas Mousepad. He's come back from grocery shopping for their condo. And he's like, hey, guys, what's going on? I got some toilet paper. Does anybody have a shit ass? And Stone's like, no. And Vaughn's like, what are you talking about? I do have shit ass. Give me toilet paper. Go.
And so Mr. Stone goes to Christmas Mousepad and starts saying, hey, what else did you get at the store? Let me help you put the groceries away. So Vaughn is stuck in the bathroom, still constipated. And with no toilet paper. So he looks at his copy of Muscle and Fitness magazine and realizes he has to make a difficult decision. Go, Steve.
Cut to outside. One of the neighbors doing their lawn. It's, I don't know, Odyssey Jones. And he sees the window open and a naked Von Wagner with shit ass drops out of the window onto the floor, onto the grass below. And he shuffles because he still has his pants around his ankles. He shuffles to the front door, but Christmas Mousepad has locked it. Why did he leave out the window instead of going out the door? It's locked from the inside.
I know.
To be continued. To be continued. We got to call Paul. He's he's going to preview AEW. Oh, man. All right. Here we go. Hello. Welcome to WWE.com. Thank you for calling. My name is Paul Levesque. I control all of creative here at WWE. Who wants some chips? That doesn't work. I don't like that.
Chips are delicious.
I'm working on new. Don't interrupt me. My goodness, I am working on new taglines for for WrestleMania. Who wants some chips? But then it's also sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch, so I don't know. I'm not a big cereal guy.
Oh, really? Cereal's
really.
delicious.
No,
I'm not huge on Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I like cereal.
No, it's for bums. Cereal's for bums. I like protein pancakes.
Oh, those are good too.
I know.
I enjoy those. I know there's no WWE content on tonight, but I thought, hey, would you like to preview AEW Dynamite tonight with me?
It says you on Peacock. There's all sorts of WWE content from decades past, being the worldwide leader in sports entertainment. But yeah, I'll make fun of AEW, sure.
Okay. All right. So I think there's 4 matches confirmed so far. First here, I'd like to get your thoughts on this one. The Elite, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega taking on Top Flight and AR Fox.
Yeah, so the Elite's contracts are coming up soon. At the end of this year, they're going to be WWE's.
Oh, wow. Is that an official scoop?
Yeah, it's a big scoop right there. We're going to pull out all the stops to get the Elite. We think they're great. And I've even purchased their old stomping grounds, the PWG thing. What is it? The VFW, whatever it was. The Armory, the old Armory.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna rent that. They're gonna be able to go there again.
Oh wow!
And wrestle. That's what they're gonna do. Gonna buy the Elite. All
right.
I'm gonna call it. They're gonna be the new DX. New DX. They got Kenny Omega.
Next up, the Acclaimed.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy
the Acclaimed.
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, everybody loves the Acclaimed. Listen, they're gonna be a staple of Monday nights when their contracts are done. They're great.
They're taking on Gun Club, Billy Gunn's kids.
No. Oh, I'm gonna get Billy. I'm gonna get Billy back. Not the rest of them though. His little pissant kids, they can stay there. He's such a giant man, and they're like
massive
little kids. Yeah. No, they're gonna get. He's gonna manage the new DX, which is the Elite and the Acclaimed together.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's right. You heard me. That's right.
That's a pretty cool
Vault.
team.
They're going to be draped in gold and Vault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're going to be very inappropriate with all their jokes and stuff, like DX was. Suck it.
All right. Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, she's going to be. I'm going to get her, too.
The championship eliminator match against the Bunny.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. No, not the Bunny. Just Jamie Hayter. She's going to be WWE bound as well. Yeah. Big star, that Jamie Hayter. She's going to come. She's going to show up with the women's title and throw in a garbage can.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we're going to do that shit again.
Wow. Then we get the Garcia Guevara gauntlet match where Ricky Starks has
Garcia,
to go through the
yes,
entirety
WWE. Don't interrupt me while I'm interrupting you. Garcia is going to be WWE. Guevara, not so much. He's got a weird face. And this gauntlet match, don't care about that. Daddy Magic had him, liked him, going to bring him back 2.0.
What about Ricky Starks?
He's great. He's going to main event WrestleMania within 5 years. He's going to be WWE also. Yes.
All right.
That's my prognostication for the day. Call me Triple H Adamas.
All right.
I've read it in the tea leaves. You know what else I read in the tea leaves? Suck it.
Guessing he's gone now.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
How was that? Like a sign off. Yeah.
That go?
That's fine. Of course, you know, everybody I mentioned AEW, almost everybody just talks about how he's going to bring it to WWE. So.
Really? Even AR Fox?
I don't think he said that he was going to sign Top Flight or AR Fox.
Ah, okay. But the Elite. Is this going to be like thing where like the Elite's the new DX or something?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That makes all absolute sense. I was thinking that was going to be the case.
The Elite plus the Acclaimed with Billy Gunn, new DX.
I love this. Christian here just joined our YouTube chat. Says, I just randomly joined the live stream during the Von Wagner story. Hella confused. Makes sense. Number one. Number two, thank you for using the word hella as a NorCal person.
Yeah.
So when Von Wagner doesn't show up on NXT TV from time to time, and this is only the second time we've done it, Lars and I will invent our own Von Wagner segment. Yeah. So anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're listening to us in the audio realm, do us a favor. Leave us a rating, review, or a comment. It really helps grow Going in Raw. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.